friends, we are back in my beautiful kitchen. I have the curtains open because it is a lovely rainy ass day outside. So I'm just hoping that none of the other people in the apartment walk out to the parking lot because they're just going to see me moving my hands around and talking to what they'll probably think is the wall. But that's okay. I hope you all have been well and safe and happy and healthy. I was quarantined with my boyfriend for about 2 months in his home with his parents, and I finally decided to come back to my apartment because I live in Ontario and we're starting to lift the restrictions and bans and things are just starting to open up a little bit. And plus, my roommate's birthday was yesterday, so I figured I'd come home about a week early and celebrate his birthday with him. So I am back here, and I'm very happy to be back, which means I will also be posting videos again, and I'm really sorry about the 2-month break or whatever it was, month and a half that I took. Will hopefully not happen again, but I just couldn't record at that time because I didn't have any tarot cards and didn't have any good lighting, and also I felt weird recording videos with my boyfriend's parents, being able to hear what I was saying. So get off the stove! Got Alexis being a bother as usual, but we love her, so it's okay. Today's video, as you can tell by me being in my kitchen and not having cards laid out, and also as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about spells or things I've manifested in my life. I had some stuff written out and I have it on my phone, but I'm going to try not to use it because most of it, I know already, right? But yeah, that's today's video, and I hope you enjoy it. So I wanted to start off by saying spell-wise, I haven't really done much, I do little spells, but they're more just I'll light a candle and think of an intention or something. That's the most I've gone with spells. Typically, I think back in grade 9, I probably did spells with my friend at the time, but I don't really remember any of those, and we aren't on speaking terms at this point, so I can't really ask her what we've done. But typically, I found that I just manifested stuff, without even really meaning to at times, or once I started to realize that I could do that, then I did it with more intent and purpose at that time. But the first example I can think of was back in grade 7. So I was 12 maybe. My grade 6 teacher was my grade 7 gym teacher, because back in the school I went to, when you're in grades 1 to 8, you have the same teacher for all your classes. But my grade 7 teacher had a limp or something, and she couldn't teach gym and just had no interest in teaching gym. So we had my teacher from grade 6 who was the kind of guy that biked 30 kilometers to the school every morning at 6 in the morning to get to the school. He was a gym fit guy. He also had a super cool scar from being attacked by a bear. So he was a cool guy. But I didn't like him because when I was in his class in grade 6, that's when I started getting all depressed and emo and stuff. And ended up being diagnosed with ADHD and stuff a couple years later. And so point is, I was depressed and didn't really know what was going on at that time, didn't know why I was struggling with my classes or whatever. And I had opened up to that teacher kind of about how I've been feeling, because I didn't really know who else to turn to, because my relationship with my parents wasn't that great, and I didn't really have that many friends, and the friends I had, we weren't that kind of friend. We wouldn't talk about that sort of stuff. So I opened up to him and was like, this is my problem and I want to die. And he was like, I'm gonna call your mom. So then he did. And then my parents were like, stop being so dramatic and looking for attention. And then I was mad at him, and I swore that I hated him. I would hate him forever, which he was a good teacher looking back. He was a really great teacher, and probably for the best that he did that, because had that genuinely been a call for help or something, at least more people were aware of it. But anyway, at the time I hated him for that. So when I found out in grade 7 that I had him as my gym teacher, I was like, no way, I'm not putting up with this. And also I hated gym. This is not the body of someone who goes to gym. You can see my double chin in every single video I do. Like, I don't like gym. No way. So because of this, I was already prejudiced against him, and I didn't want to do gym in the first place. So after like a couple months of like trying to make it work, I was like, this ain't happening. So I started, now this is awful, please keep in mind I was 12 years old and had a lot of emotions that I didn't know how to deal with. But I would go into gym and like just like be so mad. I would be like, oh, I hate you, I'm so mad. And then, you know, I would go home that night, and like when I was falling asleep, I'd be like, I hope he gets like hit by a car or something, like something bad happens to him, where like he gets really hurt and he can't teach us gym anymore. Which, like, don't do that, especially not to a teacher that like didn't really do anything bad to you, just taught you gym and called your mom because you were depressed. Like, I feel like that's not really the type of person that like deserves that, and most people probably don't. So, oops. But like I thought that, and I think I did that for like a month straight. Every single night I'd be like, I'm gonna go into school and he's gonna be hit by a car, and I won't have to do gym today. And I think too, just because we only had gym like once or twice a week, so it wouldn't have been like every day. It was like once or twice a week for about a month straight. So that would have been like eight times throughout this month maximum that I would have like manifested this without realizing that's what I was doing. And then after this month, I go into class. My teacher is in hysterics. She's sobbing, she's crying. I'm like, what the heck is going on? And she says that one of her friends was like on his bike to school, or on his bike to work. She didn't specify it was a teacher at the time. Or on his bike to work, had been hit from behind by a car, and the only thing that saved his life was his helmet, because he was like flung like so many like feet forward. So like his face was just like totally torn up. You know, he was in the hospital. Like they really weren't too sure of like the severity of it or not yet. So she was like in hysterics. She ended up having like a supply teacher, I think, come in for the day. I could be wrong, don't quote me, but I believe that's what happened. Well, she went and checked up on him. We found out halfway through the day the person who got hit by the car was that gym teacher. So I'm not saying that I did that. I think like in my head that's like the first time I ever manifested something. And that was the time that I realized you kind of need to watch what you think, you know? Like, we wish for certain things to happen, but we don't really realize the severity of like what it actually is and what it means. Especially when you're a kid, you know, like at 12 years old, when I want someone to get really hurt, I meant like, I hope he breaks his toe and can't teach gym, because that's how that works, right? Not, I hope half his face falls off because it was fucking, I can't swear on YouTube, I'm sorry, freaking flung across like the street, you know? Like it just, holy shit. That's awful, you know? So that was like my first time manifesting, and ever since that point, I tried really hard to just watch my thoughts, because I just was never really too sure what would happen depending on what I thought about, right? So then at that point, I can't really think of anything else that I like accidentally manifested from there on. Most of the things were like I had purposely manifested, you know? So like when I was I think I was like 13 turning 14, I got my first job, or like 14 turning 15 or something like that. It was like right after like the summer of grade 9, I got my first job. And I wanted a job, you know. I was turning however old you turn when you're going into grade 10, and I was like, I want money. I want to be cool and have money. So I wanted a job. So I had been volunteering at the local library for a bit, and my mom had said that she saw a posting for a job there. So again, at that point, I was like, well, remember what I did way back in grade 7? Like, I'm just going to do that again, but like for a much better purpose. So, you know, every night I go to bed and think to myself, I have this job. I already have it. Like, I'm going to go to the interview in 2 weeks, and I'm going to have the job. And sure enough, when I did the interview, I like got a call like 3 days later or whatever, and I had the job. Even lots of people who were probably more qualified and also were like at a legal age to work had applied for that job. Now, mind you, my birthday was like a week after I started working, so like they just didn't realize that I hadn't quite turned legal age to work at the time. But the point is, I got the job, so I was like, heck yeah. So that was like another thing I've done. And since then, when I've had struggles with money or jobs, which I do have like those struggles a lot, I, like mental illness and working is really difficult, and I'm happy to make a video about that at some point if anyone's interested in it. But it's definitely been a huge struggle for me to like continue working and stuff. So when I have lost jobs, I've always been able to manifest a new job or be able to get the job that I like want or dream of at the time at least. And that's where I would say that like spells come in for me a little bit is when I would do a spell for a job, which for me typically looks like one or two candles, green typically. White also works. For me, white, that's the color of like all colors, right? So like I would use white if I don't have green candles, but like typically, I mean the dollar store sells candles for like $1. So yeah, just go to the dollar store. But yeah, I get like two candles maximum, put them on the windowsill or like put them, somewhere that's like away from things that could burn. And like near a window typically, that way like smoke can get out and stuff because I'm like terrified of setting off smoke detectors. And then I would just light the candles and like have the intention of, getting a job and being financially stable by the time, like a week after the interview that I have, right? I mean, a week after I get the job or whatever, right? Like I'm like, I have an interview next week, so, I'm going to get this interview and I'm going to get a couple paychecks out of it. So it was never like, I'm going to have this job forever. Like I never like try to manifest or do spells for things that like are long-term things, only because I know it's not realistic, especially for the kind of person I am. Like it's just not realistic for me to try and think long-term. And I have more luck if I think in short-term increments. If I think in the next 3 months, my YouTube channel is going to blow up. And to make sure of that, I'm going to post 2 videos a day. Like that's reasonable. That's way more reasonable than me. Well, I mean, not reasonable because 3 months is a short amount of time. But if I was like, I'm going to post 2 videos a day for 3 years, like, no way that's going to happen. Because I can't get myself to do that. So it's the same with jobs and manifesting. I think about short-term things. I don't think, in 5 years, I'm going to be a millionaire. I just think, okay, like by next month, I'm going to have enough money to pay my rent. And that's what I'm manifesting. That's all I'm manifesting. That's all I need is my rent money, right? So that's what I try and focus on, and that's what I do when I'm lighting candles and setting those intentions. I'm like, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get a couple paychecks out of it. I'll have the job for at least 3 months, and that's my intention. And then typically, I do tend to say 3 times 3, so what it be when I like have a thought or when I try and do an actual spell. I don't know how many people do that. I don't know if it's customary. I just remember reading it in a book when I was like 10 or something, and I was like, I like that, and it rhymes. I'm gonna keep that. So I did, and I've been using it ever since. But yeah, that's like kind of the things I manifested for jobs. And I also know like a lot of people who may be watching my channel, you might be struggling with friends and stuff. And I know going through high school, I was very lonely. I did not have that many friends. Even now, I don't have many friends, but I also don't need many friends. It's not something that I'm comfortable being alone. It's something that I enjoy thoroughly. But back in high school, I just wasn't as comfortable with who I was, so it freaked me out to not have a friend. So I remember I looked into sigil making. I think that's how you pronounce it. And I found just a simple way to make sigils, and then I would start to like draw them in permanent marker like on my body a couple times. Typically in 3, because for me 3 was like that special number, right? It's like the manifesting number, or like a witchy number. So I would like draw like a sigil on my body in 3 different places, like typically like both arms and then like the middle of my chest or something, or like depending on what it was, like over my heart and then like on my arms. And then I would just throughout the day, think about that and what it meant, right? So when it came to making friends, if there was this like group of girls that like I don't want to say in love with, right? But like I liked the friendship they had, and like they seemed really close, and I wanted to be a part of that, especially in grade 12. So I remember making a sigil for friendship, putting it on both my arms and then my heart. And then throughout the day, I just kind of thought like, okay, I'm going to be, like, they're going to say something to me, we're going to get closer. And sure enough, that day, one of the girls for the first time, like we had never had conversations outside of like being like, oh, like good presentation, like during English class. But like during lunch, she walked by and she like sat down with her friend and was like, hey, what's up? How's it going? You look kind of lonely, just always stop by and say hi. And we became friends. I was friends with those 2, like for the rest of grade 12, basically. And then going into university, the one went to the same university I did. So we were friends for the first couple months of university too, until just stuff went down, and then, you know, we weren't friends anymore. But like I said, that's the way my life typically is. I don't think of long-term things because it's just not realistic for me. So that's something I also like recommend, and it's something that I've just practiced a lot, is like the sigil working and just periodically thinking something. I'm trying to think. I don't think I've really manifested anything else. Sometimes I think that some of my sexual relationships I've manifested without meaning to. There's been a lot of cases where like I'll see someone for the first time and be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do the nasty with that person. And like I know it already. And I don't know if that's me actually knowing it or if it's me just being so sure that I end up manifesting it down the road. But every time I've had that thought upon first meeting someone, I'm right. You know, like it's not once been wrong about that. So even if it takes a couple years. So that's like another thing that I guess I've manifested, but that's really it, you know? And like I said, I don't do a lot of spells. Like I wish I had actual spells to tell you like the spells I've done and like, you know, help guide you along that. And I mean, I'm happy to start doing spells, or at least kind of showing you how to do spells. I have a couple different spell books. I know that I save a lot of spells like in my Google Docs and stuff from like Tumblr, but you know, I wouldn't be comfortable doing a Tumblr spell on YouTube or anything because then I just feel like I'm stealing, you know, that person's like it feels wrong to me. But I do have a couple spell books. You know, I have like my Home Witch book or Kitchen Witch or House Witch or something book, and I think that's like that book has a couple good spells in it, I believe. I have like a Moon Power book which has different rituals for every single full moon. So like I'm happy to start at least walking you guys through those spells, if not doing it on camera, just to show you kind of how to do spells if you're new to it. But like I said, when you're kind of first starting out, a good way to build that kind of inner power and like realize the power that just our thoughts have is just by manifesting things. And the thing that people commonly mistake about manifesting is that they think this will happen, or I want this to happen, or they think stuff like, there's a person by the window, sorry, but they think stuff like throughout the day they're like, oh man, like I hope that worked and I hope it comes true. And like the universe hears everything we think, you know, like she is around us constantly and she's hearing every thought you have, and she's gonna know if you're doubting her power, right? My friend's calling me, sorry. Man, this is such a wreck. But anyway, like she'll hear you. So it's good to just like not have doubt in it and also pretend you already have it. Like I said, I would like go to bed with the thought, this has already happened or will happen when I wake up. Like I'll wake up and this is the truth. This is how it is. And that's the kind of thoughts you have to have. You know, you have to be like, this has already happened, or this is the way it is, and then not dwell on it anymore. If it happens, it happens. And if you keep doubting it, then you're kind of manifesting the exact opposite. So just keep that in mind when you're manifesting. And then with sigils too, I typically, if you are interested in sigil making and stuff, I mean, just a quick Google search is really good because there's so many different ways to do them. But what I found worked was that I would put like 3 rows of numbers in like a square, right? It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I would write out the sentence or the phrase that I wanted. And at the top, you know, I have like 1 corresponds to A, B is 2, C is 3, and then when it gets to whatever letter is 9, then it starts back over at 1. And that's like how I would do it. So like each time there was like, if I had 2 A's, for example, that's just like 1, 1, right? So then I would just connect the numbers that were in that sentence in the little like grid that I had, and that would be the sigil I used. I can probably like put a description or do another video on sigil making specifically where I actually show you examples so you get a better idea of what I mean. But yeah, that's really the video that I had. I'm sorry it wasn't that exciting. And I'm sorry that I didn't have any super cool spells to share with you guys, but like I said, the most important spell I think I've done is just manifesting financial stability, which has been crazy helpful for me. Like, I don't know how many of you keep up to date on my personal life on Tumblr and stuff, but like back in October, I was in a really bad car accident and lost my job. And then I was also like living out of my car basically at the time. So I also effectively lost my home. And then, you know, I ended up getting a place with a friend, or like a friend started like kind of like just keeping me in her room. So that was super helpful. And then I was manifesting getting another job and getting a more stable place to live. And then my current roommate, you know, like let me move in with him once his roommate left. and that was like a godsend. And then he paid he paid first and last for both of us. He paid like the first like month or two of sorry, my laptop shut off for 20 minutes. But yeah, he paid the first 2 months that I was here, basically, or the first month or whatever that I was here. And that was just like, it gave me time to get back on my feet and buy another car, which I also crashed, by the way. I don't drive anymore, for the record. And then, my boyfriend ended up paying another month rent for me, and then after that, I've been able to pay rent since, and I've been crazy financially stable. So far, like, every time something's happened where, like, I think I'm not gonna have money, something pulls through when I get money. So, like, that really is the power of manifesting, like, it's luck, and it's not like I'm just gonna have good luck, because honestly my life has not been full of good luck. I've had very bad luck, but I've been able to manifest and turn situations into good things for myself. So that's just kind of a note that I wanted to leave you on. Like, bad situations suck, but you can turn them around and try and find the good side of it, or make a good thing come out of it. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll be posting another one in a couple hours when my friend comes over, and I will be in a different shirt because I'm wearing this for 3 days, and it's really sweaty. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you soon.